Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rodolfo. Today's video, I'm going to give y'all a settings video. The first recording, yeah, it got messed up, but it's not too much that you missed out because I'm going to show it to you, show it to you in a different way, right? Or the same way, whatever. All right, so first things first, we're going to go into our settings and go into the graphics, right? So the graphics quality, make sure that everything is all low. Since the game is bugged, I'm going to give y'all a few bugs that the game has in the current moment, right? So all low, and you can have these two on overkill because these take low CPU and VRAM, right? For texture quality, it do not show, but it's okay because I run it, right? But there's also something about the game's optimization, and it does glitch and lag a lot even if you're on all lows. So yes, that can and will probably be a problem depending on if it does happen to you. And if it does, do not worry, just optimize your game in like maybe NVIDIA. If you have a NVIDIA graphics card, optimize it in your NVIDIA graphics card and make sure that low latency and vertical sync or V-sync is off so you can run at the highest performance. If you do not want the screen tearing, minimize the screen tearing at a maximum, then you can turn V-sync off or on, and then it will minimize the screen tearing, right? But you can probably still get screen tearing in a game because mainly the game has to be optimized for the game to run smoothly, and then obviously these things will work in coherence to the actual game, right? So the next thing you should have, right, is turn low latency to enabled boost or enabled, depending on which either or you want to do. So enable plus boost, let me explain the difference. Enable plus boost is basically the more powerful option for low latency, but it can hinder the performance a little bit, but it's still a good thing because boost is basically the best. Boost is basically the low latency, in all. So if you get a little bit of lag, you can still have that low latency in certain situations, right? And yes, it's a sacrifice between if you want it enabled or just enabled plus boost, but always turn it to enabled and enabled plus boost so you can have the greatest possible response time. So anti-aliasing, I have it on TAA. You should probably have it on DLSS if you have it. You can have it off, it doesn't really matter. It will just make the game look more like maybe BF4 and BF Hardline sometimes. But for me, I have it on TAA. I don't necessarily know the best difference, but just make sure that you have a good megapixels on the top right in my corner. You can turn it on. I will show you where you can turn it on. So have the performance overlay right here. It's off, and I have it on simple, and you can see everything that's going on. And make sure it's on all greens and your game is running. But again, the game is the game, and it can like mess up and make it seem like your computer isn't working because the game isn't that optimized, right? So let's go on the camera settings. Field of view, vertical field of view, vehicle field of view. This is your personal preference. I have it on 120 because I like tearing my eyes up. You can go further and you can see the enemies in the background, or you can increase it to the maximum 120 depending on what you want. Weapon motion blur, world motion blur, camera shake amount, reduce sprint, camera bobbing. Turn this on, turn all of these down because you do not want motion blur when you have, especially if you are able to get motion sick. You do not want that. So reduce sprint camera bobbing is also a thing. Like if you have a lot of grenades going towards you, your head's going to bob around and you're going to have a lot of first person movement. Turn chromatic aberration, vignette, film grain all off. You don't want to have any of that war type of cinematic style on your screen if you want to play at a maximum performance and not necessarily notice the graphics about the game unless you want to, right? So this, again, this is for the people who are casuals and want to get better at the game, or anybody who wants to know a little bit more about the settings in my POV. So turn vertical sync in the game off, and you can also turn it off on maybe your monitor or maybe the NVIDIA, right? Turn that off. This is the weapon field of view is personal preference. And make sure your world brightness is up so you can see your targets and everything, and the sharpness is up so it don't necessarily look like a potato, right? So keep that right there, and just make sure it looks good to your eyes, and if you can be able to see your target in the respective screen. Next, we're going to go to the HUD. So the HUD is the main thing that you should focus on, because it means that it will provide less clutter in your eyes and on the screen. So for the show HUD, show it on unless you're doing immersion type of things. Infantry HUD motion, you do not need to do that. I have it off. It's personal preference. Vehicle HUD motion, personal preference. This is personal preference. Show soldier overlays, I have that on because you can get your teammates mixed up with your enemies, but I will have a solution to fix that, meaning that right here, show outlines on friendly targeted soldiers, and the outline isn't really that big, but you can still tell a little bit. So show vehicle overlays, I have that on. Sovis filter, I should have it off. You can put it off, but this means that if you have it on, the enemy will be blending in with the the ground, right? Say if somebody's proning, that person is going to blend into the dirt, and it will be a little bit harder to see that person, right? So the big mini map opacity, turn that all the way up so you can be able to see your mini map, please. And show kills made by, I know I'm going all over the place, but bear with me. Squad and nearby, I have it on squad and nearby because if I should obviously have it on all, but squad and nearby is for close quarter situations, and mainly I be in the infantry style. So obviously I'm going to have people next to me that I want to notice if they are getting hurt or damaged. So I will have it on squad and nearby. But the best possible preference, it can be to squad and nearby, or it can be to all if you want to see what everything is going on. Kill feed icons, personal preference, ping notifications. This is personal preference if you want to know if your teammate pinged anybody. And also pinging does not work, so it's probably best for it. But me, I do not turn it on. It's personal preference. Simplified squad list. You can turn it on or off. It's personal preference. I'll probably turn it off someday, on someday. Icons. This is the icons. Mainly the icons we need to focus on. Icon intensity. Put that on 26 for me, because you do not want to have big circle icon objectives on your screen. So I have that on the 75 scale. The objective opacity, I can probably turn it down sometimes, but I do like seeing where everything's at on the screen, in my personal opinion. But I still do have the scale for the main scale to see your objective on your screen very low. You do not put it on 150 or anything. Just keep it there. Friendly icon scale, I have it on 83. You do not need it very high, because you can obviously tell the difference of your friendly when you look at your minimap. So squad icons, I have it on 114. It's personal preference, but keep it at the same length as your teammates. And enemy icon scale, I have it on 144, because obviously everything is harder to detect in this game sometimes. So I do love to see my enemies at all times when they're marked, and plus pinging and marking is broken in Battlefield at the moment until the next update So all of this aim-based icons are basically just when you aim down sights. If you have, a zero enemy opacity or enemy scale, when you zoom, when you have it zoomed out, and when you zoom it in, if you have a 150 scale, then you'll see your enemy at a 150 scale. So yeah, that is that. Next is gameplay. This global, all personal preference from the global. Hence, you should turn your hints on if you want to, and if you're new to the game, and if you're a casual infantry. My sensitivity is not your sensitivity. You can go to an aim converter to make your sensitivity well, and just make sure that your sensitivity is well for how it feels to you, right? Because I'm not you, and you're not me, and you cannot copy my sensitivity and be good, and I cannot copy your sensitivity and be very good at the game. So, crouch, tackle, sprint. I have that on crouch. Vault over, sprint. Yes, you can turn it on. Sprint door, barrage. Yeah, you can get into cover faster if you have it on, because but sometimes it can mess you up. So it's your personal preference for this. For these two, is your personal preference. Double tap. You do not need to double tap every time, because it can mess with your fingers, and you can get arthritis and a double jointed finger. There's nothing wrong with it, but you do not want that, while you're playing the game. So parachute auto deploy. They should have this turned off, but because it kind of messed me up before. But yeah, you can put it on whatever you want. It's personal preference. Roll camera, personal preference. Mount tight, side and up. This is the best one, because you do want to mount side and up. Crouch down when you're behind cover, and you can aim up. Side, you can mount or lean to the side, right? So instant breakout, you need to have it on an instant breakout, so you can get out of those type of mount situations as quickly as possible, and you can have it on a combo, so you can do anything for mount presets. Peak type is side and up. Same what I said with the mount. These are personal preference. Vehicle sensitivity is personal preference, but make sure you are able to have your vehicle, well, this is already on, but this is your personal preference. You want to toggle or hold. So aim assist. I am not a controller player on Battlefield, but I will say that a good thing to have on controller is to have either a 0-0 dead zone, if you're able to control it, and put, again, let's see, where can I find it? And make sure you put your controller vibration on off, with the intensity on all 0. So now that we're on the accessibility color profiles, make sure that you have a good color profile to have shadow, midtones, and brights at a good respective, seeing ability, right? So make sure that you can see on every single picture that's on the screen with the respective color you choose. So this is your personal preference. You can change the hit indicator as well, and make sure that you're actually hitting your targets. And again, turn the tinnitus volume down, and turn that down as well, the relief frequency, because you do not want ringing in your ears at all times. And this is the other side of the camera effects. And yes, I do know they need to actually really change these settings, because they are very confusing to navigate. So reduce sprint, camera bobbing on, chromatic apparition off, infantry crosshair projection off. Turn that off, because it will always be in the middle of the screen, in the center of the screen, and you want that. So when you turn it on, that means that it will be dynamic, meaning that it will move. It will move like not at the center of the screen, but maybe to the right a little bit, and then you have to force it to put it on the center, right? So camera shake and mount, have that at 50. motion is off, and world motion blur and weapon motion blur again at 0. So you can do menu tutorials, you can have in-game tutorials, or you can reset your tutorials and do it all over again. So if you're casual or beginning, put your tutorials on, please, and make sure you have some hints that you want to have. I have hints for no exact reason that's on, so it doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's personal preference. And make sure you have good keybinds for how you play the game. And also, this is the HUD as well. I'm going back to the HUD. Follow with me. The minimap size, make sure that the minimap size is large, because we do not have a scale that can go to 150 to 200. So obviously we're going to have to look our eyes a little bit more of a sharp turn, and we can't really look that much at the minimap as we can with a bigger scale map. So we're going to have to choose wisely on how to look on there. So the thing is, put it on large, minimap background opacity 90, and just make sure that you can see it. And you can also turn the compass on as well, depending on how much more you want to notice where your enemies are at. And display spotted enemies, of course, turn that on and never turn it off, because the visibility, the spotting is broken, is all broken in the game, right? And it will be fixed, but it's not fixed now by the time it is recording. So yes, fix that and keep that on. And these are all personal preferences. Make sure they are a visibility. They have a lot of visibility to your eyes, and you can see where you're hitting your target, right? So have this at a good color. And you can have the hit indicator number size large, medium, small, and just make sure that you are in comfortability of, I'm doing it raw, I don't care. Make sure you are comfortable with your settings. Right, so make sure your scoreboard ping is on. And again, the optimization is not the best in this game. So with network graph, you can turn to show the on problem network bar, depending on if you're receiving a lot of problems. And again, it shows the latency, right? So yeah, the latency is bugged in this game. That now I notice. I haven't really read it that much. And the loss of bandwidth is also broken. So optimization is broken, because you see on my streams at all times that message pop up on almost every single game and every single moment. So yes, turn your scoreboard ping on. Even though, again, when I say turn it on, that still means that those type of problems are going to be in the game, because game is the one that's broken, and not necessarily your internet or anything else pertaining to your ping. So yeah. Sound system. The sound, again, is also bugged and needs to be fixed in the game, because look, you can hear footsteps, but you can't hear footsteps. You hear your teammates' footsteps more than your enemy's footsteps, meaning that they did not put the distinction of your teammates' footsteps and your enemy's footsteps, meaning that they made your teammates' footsteps louder like the enemies, so it makes it muffled together. So it still needs to be fixed in the game, and they didn't really make a good distinction of that. So I can't really tell y'all the best audio system for your headset or whatever you're playing on, your studio, whatever. But just know that high dynamics work for me. High dynamics might not work for you, or might work for you, or whatever you pick might work for you. It might not work for me, or it might work for me. So just take that with a grain of salt, all right? All of this is personal preference. Have that turned down, and your subtitles should be on as well, because pinging is broken, and you are able to notice where your teammates are at, and also you don't have a big mini-map scale, so it's probably going to be way harder to see the mini-map of where your teammates need help anyway when you call for help, and all else, right? When you call for help and everything. So hope there's nothing else that is wrong. That is it for this video. Just make sure that you have good settings for your game, and you'll be able to play way better than you are playing at the moment. And just work on your settings. Don't get too down. Don't get too down when it feels like the settings for you does not work. The main settings for you that can help you at a better point is your key binding settings, your button settings for your controller, and obviously the quality settings and turning it on competitive settings all low, and mainly your sensitivity on your respective console or PC. So those are the main things that can make you way better at the game, and just playing the game and actually understanding why you're playing the game at more of a faster pace or more competitive pace, depending on what type of subjective where you want to go with how you're playing, right? So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say for this video. Hope you like, share, and subscribe, and I am out.